What's up, Spellslingers? My name is Garyun Cat.
I'm Drew Flitton.
And I'm Cory Janibagian.
And this is Untap
Upkeep.
Drink. Beer up.
Welcome back, guys, for another episode of Untap Upkeep Drink. We're deep in Ikoria. We're in the lair of the behemoths right now. And so this is part one of our set review. We're going to try and take it nice and easy and just do some deep dives. And so this episode, we're going to be doing the commons and uncommons.
Colloquially known as Giraffe Chaff.
Yeah, so these are cards that you probably won't build around, but they'll help make your deck and fill everything out.
There's a couple of build-arounds in here, but generally speaking, it's...
But these are the cards that you're going to see the most, so...
Yeah, these are the cards that you want to be well-versed with, so you know pack one, pick ones and stuff like that. Although, pack one, pick one commons are...
They're rare, but when they're there, they're like absolutely insane. I think that there's actually two pack one, pick ones. One we're actually going to talk about pretty early.
Hell yeah. But first,
so we're just going to fly through them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Before that...
Yeah, there's only, 300 cards in set?
276.
Ooh.
But there's only 206 that are common and uncommon.
Is there really? Jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a lot.
We're gonna fly through all this shit. Before we do that, of course, we are on social media at UUD Podcast and at Untap Upkeep Drink. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Media, Podbean, podcast sites across the web.
All right, guys, let's dive into the beers we're drinking.
Beers! So... this is one that I picked up a while ago just while I was out shopping, and it sounded delicious. It's the Distill Brewery's Wild Sour Series, the Cranberry Crike. It's a sour ale brewed with cranberries and sweet cherries, and it's 5% alcohol and 17 IBUs. So this one, it's a beautiful, beautiful peach color. And it smells just like cranberries and cherries and a little bit holiday spice. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got all that bitterness that you want right at the beginning. And just all those fruity notes. Ooh, yeah. This is what I'm talking about.
All right. And
it honestly sounds delicious.
And I've got the Temple Family Brewing's Ferda. This is the Imperial IPA, which also, for whatever reason, they list as a double India Pale Ale, sitting at 8.2% ABV. And they didn't put the IBUs on there, so I decided to look it up. And on Untapped, they have it listed at 240 IBUs. This thing is just hops
Some
distilled.
guy like me who was like, that's fucking crazy.
This is just hops distilled and then watered down into a fucking beer. All right. I'm worried about diving into that after reading that because fucking 240.
I don't know if I believe that.
No, it just smells like a super fresh IPA.
Just lethal amounts of hop.
Oh, that ain't 240. That's like 40. That's fucking
they
good.
Just added an extra 2.
Yeah, they accidentally
maybe
mistyped. That's delicious, fruity. That's more like a juicy IPA rather than a hazy IPA. Definitely hop forward. Definitely got some bitterness. Yeah, we're just gonna chill there. We're gonna leave it there and have Garion talk about the Solid Gold.
This is should be a pirate beer by the name, but it's by Founders. An old favorite. We've drank a lot of these. It's 4.4% and 20 IBUs, but it's just their premium lager. And it's really, really gold, like a gold hay. And it's beer. It's got a little bit of hops and a little bit of malt. It's pretty watery. Not really a lot of sugar. There's no acidity. It's just a refreshing lager. It's all right. So, let's dive into this set here. You guys want to start just flapping through some cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to start colorless and just work through Wurg.
Yeah, definitely going to skip a lot of stuff because there's not a lot of shit that is necessarily relevant. First one I want to talk about is Farfinder. So just 3 generic for Creature Fox. It's a 1/1 with Vigilance. And when Farfinder enters the battlefield, when you search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So this set is based off of enemy color pairs, right? But there's a lot of 3-color synergies that are there as well. This is basically the equivalent to Skittering Surveyor from Dominaria. It helps you fix your land. This is one of the cards that I wouldn't necessarily take first out of a pack, because obviously there's going to be some rares and mythics in there that might be a bit more powerful, even the uncommons. But this is going to help you fix your land every single time. This is a card that if you let it go past like pack 5, you're probably making a mistake. Like, this is a card that you should pick up every single game that you can, or every single draft that you can.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people think 1/1 for 3 is kind of garbage, but I think it gets you a land, so you have your turn 4 land, and I think a lot of mutate costs are 4 to 5-ish.
Yeah.
So you can immediately play that, and it's got vigilance, so it can.
It's a good mutate target.
Yeah. It's a good value for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of good mutate targets, the next one, Mysterious Egg. For 1 generic, you get an O2 egg, which I'm all about the egg. It also has, whenever this creature mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is probably the best turn 1 play that you can have in the mutate deck.
Yeah, it sits there and it blocks, and then it just grows bigger and bigger, and it goes into every deck.
Yeah. So remember, with mutate, this can be on the bottom, and whatever creature you have on top just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This one, I honestly would argue to be a pack 1, pick 1 against a lot of the rares.
Well, pack 1, pick 1, you don't know, which is unfortunate.
There's so much
pack
mutate
1,
that you can,
2.
you can force the mutate deck. This is colorless, like, it works. Like, I was doing some, like, sample hands and some sample drafts, and this card, I think, it legitimately does work as a pack 1, pick 1. Not, like, high tier, but it definitely is one that I would pick up for sure.
Yeah.
You're forcing the mutate deck, but, like, the mutate deck is fun. Like, let's be honest here. All right, let's get into some color spells, shall we?
All right, let's get into that. White.
So the first one we got is Blade Banish. It's a removal spell, 3 and white for an instant. Exile target creature with power 4 or greater.
I think you just play this. You just pick it up, you play it.
Yeah, this is it's anti-mutate, 100%.
I mean, it's just anti-green, I think, in this set.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the bombs in this set are going to be the high-powered creatures, and this is just anti those creatures. We have some nice, just, like, common draft filler. Checkpoint Officer, 1 and a white for creature human soldier. Goes into the human deck, obviously, but for 1 a white and tap it, tap target creature. That is an effect that you basically always want, especially if you're in a go wide deck. Sometimes there's those big creatures that are just going to knock off your all out swings. And so this is just to help you along those lines.
Yeah, I think this is really strong against mutate decks too, because they're going to be making a large creature.
Yeah.
So if you can just tap it down, it's as if they have nothing.
It is instant speed, so you can tap down on their turn, beginning their combat or whatever. You don't get to do the thing you want to do.
Yeah, I hate playing against stuff like
Tappy
this.
tappy, dude. It sucks.
Yeah, dude. I've got nightmares from Cat and that goddamn
That mummy.
zombie. Yeah. Oh, I hate it.
I loved it.
Fucking mummy. All right, the next one we got is Coordinated Charge, which is 4 and a white for an instant. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn.
That's an effect you play.
It's also got
like, you just play that on its
effect
own.
that you definitely play.
Solid finisher.
But it's also got cycling for 2.
Yeah.
Can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Next one we got is Divine Arrow. 1 and a white. Divine Arrow does 4 damage, target attacking or blocking creature. Again, these common removal spells, it's what you're going to be using to win the game in a draft or in sealed. Like, you're all out for this one.
Yeah, I like that.
Next one we have is Drannit Healer, 1 and white for a 2/2 human cleric. Whenever you cycle another card, you gain 1 life, and it has cycling for 1.
So again, these common 1 mana cyclers are going to be huge, but this is one of those cards. It's not necessarily what I would really think about as a build around, but you're happy to have this in your deck when you are in the cycling deck. That extra 1 life every single time you cycle is going to add up pretty fast, and this is what's going to stop you from losing to those big beatdown decks.
Yeah.
And being a common 2/2 for 2, where you're going to use that as filler anyway for it to have those kinds of upsides.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
Yeah, and it's also a human, and a human has a lot of Anthem effects in this.
Exactly.
So it could be a 3/3 for 2, and
yeah,
even
and
better.
more than that, it also works with that companion. I think that the Bears deck, I think actually might be a real thing for humans.
That'd be so
which
fun.
I really want to try drafting that one.
I really like this next card.
Yeah, modal cards are always good.
We've got Fight as 1 for 1 white mana. It's an instant. Choose 1 or both. Target human creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Or target non-human creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible until end of turn.
So this isn't uncommon. You're not going to see it as often, but you probably pick this up if you're in white every single time.
Bro, 1 or both? Come on,
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I really like
pretty good.
1-drop combo tricks, and then Drew, like you said, modal cards. And this lets you pick 2 effects.
Yeah.
Like, I think most of the time you'll only pick one because I think it'd be hard to run a creature and human deck just because
I think there's a lot of incidental like overlap, especially in the cycling deck, which kind of leads to the next card here.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So next card is, in my opinion, the build around for the white side of cycling. So it's Flourishing Fox for 1 white. It is a creature, Fox. It's a 1/1, and whenever you cycle another card, put a +1/+1 counter on Flourishing Fox. It also has cycling for 1. So we keep saying cycling for 1 is very, very good. That doesn't get any worse when you tack it onto a fucking creature that's just going to continue to grow every single time you cycle. This is the Ajani's Pridemate for the cycling deck.
Your turn 1 play, you're cycling into it, and just...
honestly, it doesn't matter in the cycling deck, in my opinion, when you play this. This is still going to win you the game in the long run. Like, the cycling deck I think, might have some speed to it, but this is the reason why you're going to just, like, absolutely have that beat down.
Yeah, I think you can compare this to the Mysterious Egg, as that's the best turn 1 for the Mutate deck, and it just grows over the time. But with cycling, you can, especially with 1-mana cyclers, you can do that multiple times a turn. Easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Just churn through your deck and make a 5/5, no problem.
Yeah. The next one we have is part of the awkward Aristocrats deck that they want to try running here. Kind of based in Abzan, but it's mainly an Orzhov strategy.
Feels weird.
I do like these effects, though.
We got the Garyun Cat. It's 1 mana for a 1 white mana for a 1/1 creature cat. When Garyun Cat dies, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Okay, it's Garrison Cat, but I like that. It's I don't think it has what it needs to fit in this set.
Really?
But it has a card.
This is a solid card. It's like this is...
No, the card is great. I just don't think it has enough of critical mass around it to like really be what you're gonna hone in on. You know what I mean?
It's a cat where there's cat tribal. Gives you a human where there's human tribal. It's 2 power, 2 toughness for 1 mana. Granted, spread over a deck. There's an aristocrat strategy going on here, which is 1 creature, 1 spell, 2 creatures, and ties into the aristocrats. Like, I think this card is...
Yeah, this aristocrats thing's a little...
I think you're underrating the card.
Yeah, I always like effects like these where when it dies, it just basically replaces itself. You basically get 2 blocks for the price of 1.
Which is nice.
At very minimum.
Like, this can be a very offensive card or it can be a very defensive card. Next one is our first Mutate card.
This one's Huntmaster Liger. It's 3 and a white for a 3/4 creature cat with Mutate for 2 and a white. Whenever this creature mutates, other creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated.
So this is a solid kind of finisher, but I don't know how dense the white Mutate goes.
Yeah, I mean, a 3/4 for 3, I'll play that.
4. Oh, you mean with the Mutate?
Yeah.
See, the problem that I have with evaluating Mutate is like a 3/4 for 3 is that you also have to have already spent mana on the creature that you're tagging this onto. Right, so this isn't just a 3/4 for 3. This is at minimum of 3/4 for 4 using the egg. Which, I mean, if you use the egg, then this thing just gets... this thing becomes like a... What is that? A 5/6? Yeah, it's beaten down. That's not too bad. Looks like I accidentally skipped one. The Helica Glider is the first in the keyword counters that we'll see. So 2 and a white for 2/2. It enters the battlefield. You can give it either a flying counter or a first strike counter. There's quite a few of these in the set that give you that choice of what you need in the moment, and I think that is a very strong mechanic that they're playing into. Obviously, keyword counters are going to be strong, but the fact they're giving you the choice later on of just like, hey, what is more relevant to you right now? Do you need to help finish the game with the flying, or do you need help shoring up your defenses with that first strike? I think it's a really, really cool mechanic.
Yeah, I think it's also a really interesting build around because if you have a lot of flying in your deck, then you might give it the first strike because if you want to mutate on it, 2 instances of flying won't really help. Yeah,
for sure. Next one, we're going back into the humans, and this one, again, playing on the counters a lot.
Yeah, we've got Keen Sight Mentor, 2 and a white for a creature human cleric. It's a 1/4. When Keen Sight Mentor enters the battlefield, put a vigilance counter on target non-human creature you control. 1 and a white and tap. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with vigilance.
I mean, that's solid. If you can like actually spread out vigilance counters, then this card just becomes absolutely insane. Every single turn adding counters to your board is just going to be crazy good.
Yeah, seriously.
How do you guys feel about this next card? Light of Hope, 1 white for an instant. Choose 1. Gain 4 life. destroy target enchantment, or put a +1/+1 counter on target creature.
I think that it's hilarious that for 1 mana we can gain 4 life, which back in the day, 1 mana gets you 3 life, or prevented 3 damage, whatever it was. Enchantments are very relevant in the recent sets. So having this as a sideboard card, the fact that you can add the counter, I don't think you're generally paying to get the 4 life. I don't know if there's really a life gain matters deck right now, whether it's standard, modern, whatever, but being able to destroy the enchantment or get a +1/+1 counter on something could be really good as a sideboard tech. I don't know if you mainboard it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's sideboardable. I don't know how
for sure
relevant it's going to be.
I think life gain is much better when you tack it on to a creature like Majestic Auricorn. 4 and a white for creature. It also has mutate for 3 and a white. It's got vigilance, and whenever this creature mutates, you gain 4 life. So 4/4 for 5, you're pretty fine with, especially if it's got vigilance on it. The extra, just whenever this creature mutates, you gain 4 life, is going to be dope. Just as an added effect, I think that you can play this as is without worrying about the mutate. The mutate just becomes a bonus on top. Next one we have on here, well, we're talking about enchantments. Pacifism is back. 2 and a white for enchantment or enchant creature. It can't attack or block. These kind of white lockdown spells are super, super good always. If somebody's mutating a shitload, this is just, hey, I like how much mana you spent there. Instead of doing a counter spell or a removal spell, let's just lock it down.
Just going to keep it right there. Yeah. Dude, I did not realize this was a pacifism because of the artwork. Look at that art, bro.
Yeah.
Woo!
So good.
What a dragon.
Up next, we got the Patagia Tiger. It's 4 and a white for a 3/4 kitty cat with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, target human you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
So, again, I think this is where the non-human, human spells come in, because there's a few of them, especially in white. I think this is where you get reliant success on those spells, is because there's a lot of these non-human creatures that augment humans, or the humans that augment non-humans, and this is where we're going to see those. For 5 mana, this is kind of where you want to be. There's a lot of these commons in draft sets in general, where you have a 5 mana 3/4 3/3 flyer that buffs a creature when it enters the battlefield. This is exactly what you want in white.
Yeah, speaking of humans, up next we've got Perimeter Sergeant, 2 and a white for a 3/2 creature human soldier, and whenever he attacks, other humans you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So this is more of a combat-centric, almost Anthem effect for your humans.
Yeah, this also tells you what the human's deck wants to do, right? It wants to be aggressive. It wants to be attacking.
Right.
Talk about Anthem effects.
Oh, yeah.
This one's a true Anthem effect. We've got Sanctuary Lockdown, 2 and a white for an enchantment. Humans you control get +1/+1. Also, 2 generic and tap 2 untapped humans you control. Tap target creature an opponent controls.
So what I love about this one is that a lot of the times in the go wide deck, you don't actually have a good attack, but you also need to stop your opponents from attacking because the creatures you have are so much smaller than theirs. This lets you utilize your creatures and your mana to stop the attack on your opponent's turn, which also allows you in the future then to have a really massive crackback that they have to worry about.
It's very exemplary of the idea of many, many humans versus a couple of giant beasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is, there's a lot of tap down effects, it looks like, in this set.
Yeah, so this one is Snare Tactician. It's 2 and a white for a 2/3 human soldier. Whenever you cycle a card, tap target creature and opponent controls.
This one's the best one.
Yeah, this is another one of those
Maybe not the best one, but it's really
build arounds. I don't think it's going to be as good as Flourishing Fox. Obviously, having that +1/+1 counter every single time is going to be insane. But you can cycle multiple cards in a turn. I don't think that anyone is going to think twice about trying to kill this one.
Oh no, this is a KOS.
Maybe not KOS, but it's definitely a removal magnet.
All right, guys, up next we've got Solid Footing. It's an enchantment aura with flash. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and as long as enchanted creature has vigilance, it assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power.
Yeah, so there's a really weird tribal, quote-unquote, synergy going on with vigilance tribal. A lot of the creature with vigilance in the set, as it is pretty common throughout a lot of recent sets, is that the vigilance creatures have big old booty, not really much power, and so there's a 3/6 dinosaur, a 1/4 cleric, I think we talked about, a 1/4 cat. There's a bunch of weird, awkward 1/4s, 1/6, weird shit. And so this really ties those together. And I think most of them are actually in white, some of them are in blue, but it's that super defensive vigilance creatures that this is going to empower. Next one.
Yeah, I really like this card.
Yeah. So next one we have is Splendored Merits and Elk Unicorn, which is dope. For 2 and a white,
very good.
lifelink, 3/3 creature. Also has cycling for 1 and a white, and this extra ability here, which is really nice. When you cycle it, put a lifelink counter on target creature you control. So there's several of these. When you cycle this creature with this ability, put a lifelink counter or whatever the creature's ability was onto another creature. Super dope. Really cool way to use cycling to your advantage. It's at instant speed, remember, so you can get like Death Touch or First Strike or something like that. Put it on that creature, and I think it's a really cool way to empower the cycling deck in a way that normally you wouldn't think about.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good showcase for what keyword counters can do, because just giving them when they ATB or something like that is kind of limited, but giving a creature that has no counters or no ability to get counters, just any kind of counters you need at instant speed, I think that's a really powerful effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one also has some dope, I was going to say keywords, but it's not the keywords that I like. It's actually the creature type. It's a bird goat.
So this one is Stormwild Caprador. 2 and white for a 1/3 with flying. If non-combat damage would be dealt to Stormwind Caprador, prevent that damage. Put a +1/+1 counter on Stormwind Caprador for each 1 damage prevented this way.
Wow.
This thing has the potential just to close out a game for you.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, how do you deal with this fucking guy?
Is there? Is
you
it
kill
this
it.
set where
You have to kill it.
it's 1 red mana, deal 1 damage to every creature?
Yeah, I believe that there's. Yeah, I believe that's one of the red cards in the set. I think it's uncommon.
And then the first thing that came to my mind is those board wipes that do 3 damage to each creature on the board. Like, normally that's a huge downside because you usually kill your own things.
Yeah, you kill a lot
but
of
this just makes it even bigger. This makes it a 4/6.
Yeah, in the red-white deck, like, I think this card could just be an absolute house because there are a lot of effects that do, 1 damage, 2 damage, 3 damage to a lot of creatures. And so this is just like that extra, just like, yeah, I don't care if I hit my own stuff.
Yeah, I think this would be a really fun build around card.
I mean, if we're talking about dope artwork, up next, we've got a 1-mana white card that's just incredible. Tell me that's Seb McKinnon. It's not.
Yeah, so this one I honestly rated really high until I, reread it the second time. I thought it was like a slow path to exile. It is not.
Yeah, this one, it was kind of hard to evaluate because right away I'm just like, oh shit, 1 mana removal spell. Sweet.
Yeah, so it's a sorcery. As an additional cost, cast the spell. Tap an untapped creature you control. Exile target tapped creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on creature tapped to pay the spell's additional cost. So tapping your own creature is absolutely fine as an additional cost. The part that really made me have to reevaluate and then reevaluate again is exile target tapped.
And the reason that's bad is because it's a sorcery.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally why the second time I reread it was the important part. I was like, oh, that's not bad. It's an instant. It's not.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it is. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. This is a good spell. You're going to use this. You are absolutely fine with tapping down a creature. It happens to get the +1/+1 counter on it. Like, you don't care about the +1/+1 counter. What you care about is just getting that removal spell out. I think it's kind of smart for them to have it as an uncommon because it is kind of a weird card to play. But I think that rather than giving your opponent a benefit, right, because white usually has, if it's super efficient removal, you give them something. Like, I'm going to take this away from you, but I'm also going to help you out. And just kind of takes that away, and you're just kind of, double helping yourself. But the limitations on it is going to make it very difficult to play. The next card there is the other build around for cycling. And again, it is an uncommon in white. So it is kind of limited. But goddamn, in limited. Whew.
This is a mythic rare uncommon.
Yeah.
It's Valiant Rescuer, 1 and white for a 3/1 human soldier. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And then it has cycling too.
So I love this card. I'm very, very, very excited to play this one in Commander and give me 4 turns to cycle on each.
Yeah, seriously.
First time you cycle each turn, you can do this on your opponent's turn. Never forget that. Cycling is instant speed. And the fact that it has cycling on top of it, the worst part about this, it's got 1 toughness.
Yeah.
Like, this card has so much upside that it's absolutely ridiculous.
I think the next card we're going to talk about is very similar in the Mutate deck. And it's also got 2 really good creature types. It's a Foxbird. This is the Vulpikeet. For 3 and a white, it's a 2/3 creature fox bird with Mutate for 2 and a white. It has flying, and whenever this creature mutates, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So the limitation of Mutate is that it only gets to keep the power and toughness of the top creature, but this helps give this creature a buff each time it's gone through the process.
Yeah. I mean,
It also comes out as a 3/4 for 3 when you put it on top of the egg. Which is actually, no, a 4
on top of the egg.
4 or 5.
Right?
Oh, yeah, the egg. Yeah.
4 or 5 with flying on
that
the
can
egg.
attack.
That's a good play, my friend.
Yeah, on turn 3.
Yeah.
Not bad, not
That's
bad.
true. With haste.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to look at it that way.
I like that.
So the next one I absolutely love because it reminds me of playing with Unstable. So Unstable had some really goofy cards that had an effect that normally you'd think lasts until end of turn, but didn't. So it just had like a permanent buff on your creature. So it's Will of the All Hunter. So for 1 and a white instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's blocking, instead put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and also cycling for 2. So the +1/+1 counter is what I mean by, it just stays on there. I think that this is genius because I think the Unstable might have been a testing ground for this set because of the way that they put keyword counters and then like this sort of effect where normally it would only last till end of turn, but instead they're giving it counters to last permanently. I think that this card is dope. I love the fact that it's cycling. There's nothing wrong with this card. Finally, let's get to blue.
This one goes right with that enchantment that assigns damage equal to their toughness. This is 8.
That's only creatures with vigilance, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can put vigilance counter.
Given vigilance.
Oh,
it's
so hard.
Aegis Turtle. For a single blue, it's just a 0/5 turtle. It's just a fantastic blocker.
So this is one of like the key components of any good control deck is stopping your opponent from killing
Big
you.
old butts.
Next card is just a classic staple in so many formats. Got Anticipate for 1 in the blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. I love to see this card in Draft because Draft is such like a random format with all of the crap that you've tried to cobble together for a deck. This helps you, filter your top deck, make sure that you're getting the right card. Stuff that you don't like, you just toss in the bottom of your library. You don't have to worry about them for a while. And if they were a good card, that you can't rely on that card popping up. I love Anticipate. Next one is definitely a Garyun card.
Are we talking about Archipelagor? To be honest with you, I was just thinking of this in my head. This is exactly the opposite of my card. These are the types of cards that I'm not usually hot on, or the big splash blue cards that tap your opponent's shit. And this one's way worse. This is 5 blue for a 7/7 creature Leviathan with Mutate for 5 and a blue. Whenever this creature mutates, tap up to X target creatures, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So it's a fatty, which is cool.
It's a 7/7
It is a Leviathan.
Dude. You love
which is cool.
Archipelagor.
But the big thing
I'm thinking is the top end of your Mutate. You want it for the one time that you do mutate it, right? You don't want it.
You only get 1 creature.
No,
but so
Mutate stacks.
If you have the egg and like 4 things under it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're stacking this on 1 mutated creature.
So you mutate it onto the stack, and so that'd be 5 things. So you get to tap down 5 things of theirs.
And this is the last time you're going to do it because you're tapping them down, and it's a freeze effect. It's not just tapping down. They don't untap next turn. So you get 2 attacks with your 7/7 plus whatever abilities. If it has the egg, it's like a 11 power creature that you're killing somebody with. You're telling me that you're not on board with that?
I think it's a cool card, flavorful, great. I don't think it's the type of card I'm slotting in. It's so expensive as a finisher, and the guarantee isn't there. Whereas in the past, we've had creatures that just cost 6, 7, 8 mana and tap all creatures. Maybe you tap 4, but they have a 5th, and you still can't block because you've invested too. I'm not hot on Mutate, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I don't know. I mean, it's good, but I don't think it's as good as we want it to be, if that makes sense. Of course, it is an uncommon.
I think that it is as good as we want it to be in Draft and Limited. I don't think that it's going to matter in like any other format.
Yeah,
right. That's my mind frame for this.
limited.
Right.
I mean,
because
I'll probably fuck somebody up with it.
I don't really look at standard and modern that much anymore. Like my time frame is just how am I going to play this in limited? Is this relevant in Commander? B, absolutely not relevant in Commander. A, this is going to kill people in draft and limited. I'm going to lose to this card.
I'll definitely give you that. Yeah, limited and draft, we're going to have some problems.
So this next one is, it's another card in the cycle where when you cycle it, you get a keyword counter on anything you want. And it's Avian Oddity. It's 3 and a blue for a 2/4 flying and cycling cost of 2 and a blue. And then when you cycle this card, put a flying counter on target creature you control.
Solid.
3
I think flying counters.
Whatever you want flying for the rest of the game. Okay, yeah.
Dope. Next one we have is Boon of the Wishgiver. We talked about this one in the last episode. So 4 blue for sorcery, draw 4 cards, cycling for 1. I think that this card right now is being overrated for standard. We'll see if I'm right on that one. I just think that it's just too expensive.
It only cycles for 1.
Right, I think that's the best part.
It does not cycle for 2 or 3.
Right, but I think that the actual effect, I think that there are other cards that cycle for 1 that you're slotting in over this. Like, if you're in a super hard control deck, yes, you might get the 4 cards off of it, but I think in most decks, you just cycle it for 1. But I think that there's just other things that you would cycle for 1 you could also play earlier in the game that are going to matter more. Speaking of
totally
hard control, we got Capture Sphere. It's back. I think, like Ixalan, Dominaria, and now this. Like, it's one of the premier common blue removal spells for 3 and a blue. It's Enchantment Aura, Flash. Enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap down that creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So just a nice freeze effect. We got, I think, like my favorite freeze effect coming up in a few cards here. But it's an enchantment, so I love it.
But before that, we got a sweet counter spell. This one's Convolute. It's 2 and a blue for an instant counter target spell unless its controller pays 4. They're almost never going to pay 4.
Yeah, that card is backbreaking.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about a big fat sea creature that I'm down for, we've got Crustacean. It's 3 and a white for a 1/6 creature crab with flash.
So one reason,
while these aren't like,
sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish yours before I do mine.
Oh, I was just gonna say the reason why I think these are, I mean, obviously because it has flash, it does a lot of blocking that is not expected. It only slots in control. Like I don't really think there's a deck that really gives a shit.
So this is the one set where this is just more than what it seems, because there is the flash deck. There's a flash deck in Dimir that I think is kind of one of like the sub decks. It's not one of the main decks of the format, but I think that the flash deck has potential to just absolutely just smoke people out. So the next one we have is Dreamtail Heron. It is 4.
This is the
blue
upside of Mutate.
for a elemental bird. It's a 3/4 Mutate for 3 and a blue. Flying. When this creature mutates, draw a card. I absolutely love this card in the Mutate deck. This card it fills your hand every single time. Like it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just
anything that says draw a card. Like, hey, do the thing you want to do, but also draw a card. It has flying, which means that your Mutate creature has flying. Gimme. Cory, this next one. Woo, woo.
I like this one.
This one seems
Escape
real strong.
Protocol. 1 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 1 colorless mana. When you do, exile target artifact or creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control.
Good shit.
Damn, son.
So you double up, or you repeat all your ETBs. You can untap your mana rocks or whatever artifacts that you need to untap. I think this has a lot of versatility.
Oh, absolutely. But it also allows you to take your Mutate and turn it into a bunch of creatures.
Yeah.
I did forget that because
or your
we talked about it in the last episode. When a Mutate creature gets blinked, it comes back separated.
Yeah.
So instant speed, just pay an extra mana on your cycling cost and get 4 blockers or something.
Yeah, and I don't think the mutant cycle
you've
are
cheated costs
coming together, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it's smart that they split it up the way they do. Like, you really need to invest in blink or into cycling in order to get this blink effect consistently and make it good. But I think that when you do, goddamn, you're going to just blow somebody out of the water.
Yeah, it definitely can be cool.
All right, we also have Essence Scatter in the set, which is great. Just 1 blue counter target creature spell. But the next one is the, hey, your card does not have cycling on it. Let me go ahead and give that to you.
Yeah, we got Facet Reader, 1 and a blue for a 1/2 creature human wizard, and for 1 generic and a tap, draw a card, then discard a card.
So it is actually better than cycling in the fact that you get to draw the card first.
Draw first.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it effectively does the same thing. Blue-red does have this kind of like discard draw theme. So it's definitely going to be a powerful tool in there. Plus, it's human. Next card is Frost Lynx, which is one that I was talking about before. 2 in the blue for a creature, Elemental Cat. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls that creature does not untap during its untap step for a 2/2 creature. I love this card. Every single time they reprint it, I'm pretty hyped on it.
Yeah, this card's so good. Speaking of untap effects, we've got Frost Veil Ambush. For 3 blue for an instant, tap up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures don't untap during their control's next untap step, and it also has cycling for 1.
Yeah, good. Just good. Like, you pay 5 mana to do that usually anyways. The fact that you can just cycle it away when you don't need it, or when it's just too early in the game. Good.
Yeah, I think a lot of these sort of good finishers or things that help you end the game, giving them cycling makes them so much better.
Yeah, it takes them from good to incredible.
Yeah, nothing feels as worse as when you draw your opening hand and you have all your finishers and you're just like, well,
yeah, can't really do anything
I can't
there.
play any of these.
Yeah, it's just kind of like rip me. We've got Glimmerbell next, which I'm pretty excited to see what people do with
I want to
Glimmerbell.
see this card broken.
Yeah,
It seems like it's a good mutate target,
yeah, it has a lot of
but I
potential
don't know
to
what
be.
you're going to do to it.
So it's 1 in the blue for an elemental jellyfish. It's a 1/3. Has flying, and for 1 in the blue, untap Glimmerbell. So we've got a lot of tap shit that we've talked about. Untapping is one of the strongest things you can do in Magic. There's a lot of things that abuse it, a lot of things that are just get absolutely out of hand if you can untap multiple times. The fact that it has colorless mana, not just colored, helps along that line, but that 1 blue means that you do have a little bit of cost.
Realistically, yeah, this can give even just your big mutate creature flying and vigilance.
Essentially, yeah.
In the most basic, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems cool.
Yeah, the next one's also pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got Gust of Wind. It's 3 and a white for a sorcery, and this spell costs 2 generic less to cast if you control a creature with flying. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Then draw a card.
So what I don't like about this is that this is the worst version of like Blink of an Eye or Into the Royal. Just return target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. Usually it's return target creature to its owner's hand for 1 in a blue, and then for 1 in a blue, also draw a card. I don't like that they split it the way they did, just to make it's 4, sometimes it's not. But I think the blue-white Skies deck is probably going to be efficient enough that you just pay 2 mana for this anyways, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think this is just a really strong effect, and because they made it care about flying, they kind of made you jump through some hoops.
Yeah.
Also, Garion, every blue card you've read, you're saying white mana for.
Did I really?
All the last couple
I said
ones.
3 and a white?
Three and a white, and then the other couple
Fucking
ones,
hell.
you're saying 1 and a white and stuff like that.
All right, guys. Noted. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I mean, if you want to talk about more cycling, we can, but I'd rather skip on over to Keep Safe. 1 in a blue, counter target spell that targets a permanent you control, draw a card. There's a lot of strong removal that targets in this format, specifically because there is Mutate. That's a very strong mechanic. WotC knows this. They know that there's going to be some shenanigans going on to try and remove stuff that you control. The fact that they just threw draw a card onto a 2-mana counterspell, I'm a little bit upset
Why not?
with, because the 2-mana counterspell is already way too efficient. And the fact that you just replaces it for free, the point of counterspells is that you trade 1 for 1 and your cards, and that's it. And now you're up a card off of it. WotC. Power creep. Do you know what it is? Stop doing it.
I was going to say, this card is going to find its way into pretty much wherever it finds itself legal in.
Yeah, the next one. Talk about anti-mutate.
Yeah, so this one's Mystic Subdual. It's 1 in a blue for an enchantment aura with flash. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -2/-0 and loses all abilities. But
So
it
the one
also
good thing
has
about-
this reminder text. Mutating onto the creature won't give it new abilities. It can gain abilities in other ways. So I think that's really interesting.
It also seems like it's the same dinosaur from that other artwork.
Just getting fucked on.
Yeah, from...
Yeah. Pacifism.
There it is, yeah.
Which is dope.
Yeah. Want to talk about dumbass fucking counterspells again. Neutralize. 1 blue, counter target spell. Usually just a fair rate, right? That's just cancel. Also has cycling for 2. Why does my fucking counterspell need to have cycling?
Sometimes you don't need it.
Dude, can you imagine being in the game with this, though? where you like tap double blue, and they're like, fuck, I'm getting countered. And then you just fucking cycle it. They're just like,
I'll let it resolve.
gave me a heart attack for that, and then they just draw a card, and you're like, wait, did I win on this one? Like, what is the cost here?
All right, Drew, you were hot on this the last episode.
Yeah, I talked about Of One Mind last time. 2 and a blue, sorcery. The spell costs 2 less. You control a human creature and non-human creature. When we're talking about white cards, having human and non-human, I don't think it's actually going to be that difficult. Drawing 2 cards for 1 mana, even if it's that sorcery speed, you're all about that. I also talked about Ominous Seas. For 1 and a blue, whenever you draw a card, put a foreshadow counter onto Ominous Seas, remove 8 foreshadow counters, and you create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token with cycling 2. Obviously, this slots into the cycling deck or into the blue-red draw deck, which I guess also is going to have cycling in it in and of itself.
It comes down early. I think if you just somehow work this into proliferate decks, you can also bust it. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Next one we got is Phase Dolphin. It's not even a dolphin, though. It's a whale. It's
what the fuck, Wizards?
A 1/4 elemental whale creature. Whenever it attacks, another target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn. That is a very, very powerful ability.
Especially with this keyword we keep talking about.
Big boys.
All right, guys. This next one, I don't know how raging you guys are, but I'm feeling
this one. This one's too good.
Too fucking good. We've got Polywog Symbiote. For 1 and a blue, it's a 1/3 creature frog that says each creature spell you cast costs 1 less to cast if it has Mutate. That's already good. We know Mutate's broken, and now we get to do it cheaper. Also, whenever you cast a creature spell, if it has Mutate, draw a card, then discard a card. All right. Taking that every time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
My favorite part about this card is the Godzilla artwork, because it's baby Godzilla.
Yeah, this one is super fucking
I love it. This next card has terrible art, and I hate it.
It really is. So Pouncing Shore Shark for 4 and a blue. It's a shark beast. It's a 4/3 creature and has Mutate for 3 and a blue. It's got Flash, so again, that Flash deck. Whenever this creature mutates, you may return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Hey, nice Mutate creature you have. Well, now you don't have.
Ouch. That's backbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's a shark with arms, man.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's kind of terrifying.
It's so gross.
Yeah, it's not good.
I love enchantments. You guys know that. Reconnaissance mission. 2 blue for enchantment. Whenever creature you control does combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Blue-white skies? Anyone? Just draw a bunch of cards.
It's like a different version of Bident of Thassa, because Bident of Thassa is the same first text, but it makes your opponent's creatures attack instead of being able to cycle. So it's always solid.
Yeah, and this one also just has cycling too, which is great. So this next one I'm super excited about. It's Startling Development for 1 and a blue. It's instant until end of turn. Target creature becomes a blue serpent with base power and toughness for 4. Also cycling for 1. So in Modern Horizons, they had Scale Up, I think, which made
I think that was it.
Target creature have base power and toughness 6/4. This is a more fair version of that, but it's also in blue, which means that it works with our unblockable Infect creature. This card, I think, is actually going to be pretty strong in monitoring that Infect deck. We'll see how much play it actually gets, though. But the fact that it has cycling 1 is something that I think the Infect deck is pretty keen on, because we don't really have that much card draw or modal cards. It's basically just try and kill your opponent as fast as possible. And while it's great, sometimes the Infect creature is about to get removed or something like that, or you need just a way to just churn through your hand because what you have is not that great. Sometimes base power and toughness 4/4 isn't as good as the base power and toughness 6/4 that you already have. So being able to get rid of this to scale up for something else, see what I did there, is great.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's really solid.
We've also got Wingspan Mentor here. Another one of those when it ETBs, you put a counter on something. This time it's the flying counter. It's definitely just showcasing the blue-white skies deck even more. And for 2 and a blue, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with flying. That is a very strong ability. I'm just going to go ahead and read the next one here. Our first foray into black.
Wingfold Terran?
It's okay.
I mean, but it gives hexproof counters.
Yeah.
Which is fucking good.
I guess.
I think that's the only thing that does.
I think there's one other that does hexproof, but you're right. Wingfold Terran shouldn't be ignored.
I mean, it's not a good card, but the fact that it gives hexproof counter.
Yeah, it makes your Mutate creature pretty dope, because I think that you play this in any Mutate deck, just because hexproof is going to be dope. The fact that it's hexproof and not Shroud, I think is a very conscious decision that they made. But I think that would have been better if they had done Shroud rather than hexproof counter, because of how broken hexproof is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bastion of Remembrance, we talked about in the last episode, for 2 and a black, got an enchantment, enters the battlefield, make a 1/1. White human soldier creature token. Not a relevant subtext, right? Because whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. All I ever wanted was to have a fair blood artist as an enchantment.
Yeah, not only is it a blood artist that's hard to get rid of, it gets you started. It makes a creature. Like, if it didn't have that, it'd be okay. It would still be a problem. But.
Blood artist is definitely more broken in the fact that it cares about any creature dying, but this is the fair version, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, super good. I wanted to love this card, but it's 6 mana. So this one is Blitz Leech. It's 5 and a black for a 5/2 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Remove all counters from that creature. I just think that last part is so good.
Yeah,
I still think it's a blowout.
It definitely can be. Like I look at it, 1, it's a removal spell. 2, it is a anti-counter strategy. 3, it's flash, so it may be a double removal spell. And 4, it could actually just be a crackback that they don't expect.
Yeah, 6 mana.
Yeah, it is 6 mana. So, I mean, 6 mana for all of those things that I just said seems like a pretty fair card.
That's true. And it's common, so you definitely get at least 1.
Well, what about a common removal spell that's 4 mana?
I'm down. I always run those.
We've got Blood Curdle for 3 and a black. It's an instant destroy target creature.
I'm in.
I'm already on board. But now you get to put a menace counter on a creature you control. So if you've got a mutate creature, you've got menace. If you don't, you have some shitty creature that has menace that is now a target for your mutate creatures. I'm in.
Yeah, when you say that last line, like, because before I was like, I don't care about the menace counter. Yes, there is a Rakdos menace sub-theme, just like there is a Dimir Flash. But menace is like one of the hardest keywords to evaluate.
It's so fucking good, you guys. It is so good.
I've died to menace. I don't know how many times, but I like the build around of this card, or not the build around, the idea behind this card, because it's like, oh, they have 2 creatures, and I don't have menace. I'm gonna destroy one of their creatures and give one of mine menace. Now it can't be blocked.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I mean, you just run it for the removal.
One that you just run for the counter is Boot Nipper, which I find is just a very amusing.
I love that name.
Yeah. 1 and a black for a beast. It's a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, you can put on it either a death touch counter or a lifelink counter. I don't know what world you live in where you don't put the death touch counter on it, except for maybe it's like your first creature of the game.
Unless you have some way to give it unblockable or some shit, but even then, I still want death touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it should be Scorpion.
Yeah, it's just a nasty
it really should.
thing. I don't even know.
So next couple cards we have kind of play into the Aristocrat sub-theme. Garyun, you kind of have your little foray into Aristocrats.
I've killed a few of my own creatures before.
and your own lands.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not just creatures Garyun will blow up. He'll blow up all of his shit.
Believe me, if I own it, I'll fucking murder it too.
He's very fair about it.
Bushmeat, very fair. Bushmeat Poacher for 3 and a black. It's a 2/4 creature human soldier, and for 1 generic mana and a tap, you can sacrifice another creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and draw a card.
Dope.
The life gain, again, probably inconsequential in most areas.
But get rid of your garbage creature to draw a card.
Yeah, draw a card, kill a token.
Yeah. My problem is that this costs you essentially for the turn 2 creatures and a mana to do all of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be better on opponents' turns where it's just gonna die anyways.
This is where you're blocking, and then you're like, I'm gonna get rid of this garbage.
The next one we've got is Call of the Death Dweller. It's 2 and a black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a death touch counter on either of them. Then put a menace counter on either of them.
Take away the counter bullshit, I'm on board. Add the counter bullshit, I was already on board.
Super good.
Yeah, this card is This card's dope. It has Reanimator. It's got your fucking 3 or less CMC stuff going on with it. I don't see a world in which this is a bad card.
For reals. Because you just you get an aggressive card and a defensive card. You put Death Touch on the defensive card and the Menace on the aggressive
It doesn't even matter. Like, whatever your aggressive, you could have 2 aggressive cards, throw a Death Touch counter on it. All of a sudden, you have a defensive card.
That's true. Like, yeah. It's super versatile.
Yeah. So the next one is one of the reasons why I think Mutate is best in Sultai.
Yep.
Actually, that's the next 2. So we've got Cavern Whisperer for 4 and a black. It's a Nightmare 4/4 creature. Mutate for 3 and a black. It's got Menace, and when this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. So it's these kind of each opponent on mutates that makes me think that maybe it might be a viable mechanic in Commander. But this card can be just absolutely backbreaking. Like, it is higher CC.
I still
so
think to get a critical mass of mutates in Commander.
I think there's enough. I was doing the math, and in Sultai, there's enough. And the other color trios, you're struggling.
Abs and Mate.
You're struggling a little bit.
The next one we've got is Chittering Harvester, which is very similar. It's 5 and a black for a 4/6 with Mutate for 4 and a black. It's a creature nightmare, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacrifices creature.
Again.
Also,
yeah.
So just imagine you mutate Cavern Whisperer 1 turn, everybody discards a card. And then you do Chittering Harvester the next turn.
Then they discard a card.
A bunch of other stuff. They have to discard another card and sacrifice a creature.
It's good stuff. That's turn 4 and turn 5. That's a pretty powerful turn 4 into turn 5. Next one we have is Corpse Turn. I believe it's a reprint. It's a card that we're always happy to have. Instant speed 1 and a black. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Regrowth effects are fine. For 1 and a black to do a regrowth is actually pretty alright. It's not like a full regrowth because you are focused on creatures, but generally regrowth end up targeting creatures anyways. So to be able to self-mill and then do that, I'm all about. We also got another reprint in Dark Bargain, which I think was initially printed in Dominaria, and I absolutely love that set, so this card can do nothing wrong. It's 3 and a black. For an instant, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, and the other into your graveyard. Dark Bargain deals 2 damage to you.
Instant speed, draw 2 cards, and take 2 damage. I'm doing it. Don't fucking care.
Not only that, it's
but you get to draw
3 cards.
Well, that's what
look at 3 cards.
What I'm saying. You get to draw 3 and put 1 in your graveyard. That's even better.
Yeah, it's all good. God, we just have so many good cards here. Dead Weight, one of my favorite enchantments.
It's because we're in the best
black.
color, Drew.
Just 1 black. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -2/-2. One of the best common removal spells of all time.
This is up there with Shock, as in just
remember all those
mythic.
creatures we talked about? We're like, oh, this is a good card, but it only has 1 toughness.
1 or 2.
That's why that's such a bad.
Yeah. Shock is like your baseline for creatures, right? 2 toughness, kind of bad. If you're only spending 2 mana on it, it's all right. Spending 3 mana, it's like, ooh, that thing's gonna die. I just love the artwork on it, though.
Yeah, Durable Collybug, I do not think is good enough to talk about. It's okay, but
agreed.
Up next, we've got Dusk Fang Mentor, Cory.
For 2 and a black for a 1/3 human cleric. When it enters the battlefield, put a lifelink counter on target non-human creature you control. Then it has 1 and a black and tap it. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with lifelink. So we've seen this effect a few times where it cares about
It gives a counter, and then it also makes that creature, the creatures with that keyword better.
Yeah.
This one,
really cool.
I think, is one, I hate to say it's one of the stronger ones, but I think that it actually is, because incidental life gain is super powerful. And the way that they've done it here, where you're going to continue to make that life gain creature better, it's not going to win you the game necessarily, but it sure as hell is going to make your opponent really, really struggle to win the game.
Yeah, it's going to keep you alive. It's going to get you
mana sink
time.
is always nice.
Yeah, mana sinks are great. The next one.
This next one, I thought you were talking about it when you were saying this one is one of the best, and I was agreeing. We've got Easy Prey, 1 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less, but it's also got cycling for 2.
Yeah. Artwork on this one, I think it's one of the best in the set.
Good.
It's weird, but I like it.
Yeah, because he thinks he's got the Easy Prey. Little does he know, he's about to get 8. We got Balloon Pangolin, which I shouldn't have read out loud. Next one we have is Grim Dancer. 1 black for an uncommon nightmare creature. It's a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose between 3 things, get 2 counters. So, choose between Menace, Death Touch, and Lifelink. Like, this card,
This card will bust your nut. Like, a 3/3 for 3, already solid. 3/3 with
Menace?
Death Touch, Lifelink.
Well, just any
Menace,
one of those.
Lifelink.
Like
Yeah,
any one of those
they're all
keywords,
good.
you're pretty stoked on. The fact that you get 2, like Lifelink, Death Touch, like for 3/3, like you're sitting pretty on that
Like,
one.
this is-
Menace,
this
Lifelink,
is-
Menace, Death Touch, Menace.
This is so good, even if Mutate wasn't in the set. But this as a Mutate target is absolutely insane.
Yeah. Next up, we got Heartless Act, which I talked about before. 1 in the black, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. We just talked about how good counters are.
Very.
Yeah, so I think this will... It's good against the Mutate decks because you can get rid of the counters.
It's good against
And it's good against non-Mutate. Yeah. I think it's such a good
The thing
removal
is
spell.
that the Mutate deck doesn't necessarily have a lot of keyword counters, but if it does, get rid of it. If they don't, kill it.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, up next we've got another one of those hard to evaluate mutate cards. Insatiable Hemophage. 3 and a black for a 3/3 creature nightmare with mutate 2 and a black. It has Death Touch, which is great. But then it also says whenever this creature mutates, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated.
Again, this is one of those that's kind of unassuming. You put this on whatever you've already mutated, and you get a bunch of value off of it. You continue to mutate it, you're getting even more value off of it. This card is going to kill you.
It almost feels like a Grey Merchant of Asphodel in a way.
I mean, it is.
A very, very slow one.
I think it's like pretty quick.
It's
because you can have a
I
bunch
just
of little
like that
mutates
it's-
that goes.
2 and a black for the Mutate cost. I think it's
the
very,
Mutate.
very well costed.
Yeah. Next one plays into that flash deck I was talking about. Lurking Deadeye for 3 and a black. It's a human assassin. It's a 4/2, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Very, very good in the flash deck.
So next one we have is Memory Leak, 2 and a black for a sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand and exile it. And it also has cycling 1.
This is one of the best sideboard cards in the set, in my opinion. Having hand attack can be very powerful, but sometimes hand attack is just not what you need in a given moment. Late game, hand attack starts to get very bad, and so getting rid of it, just cycling it away. But the fact that this actually can target stuff in a graveyard is what really pushes this one over the edge for me, because there are so many graveyard decks roaming around in every single format. I feel like this card is always going to be good as a sideboard card, because you don't always end up with sideboard card. And 3 mana for a hand attack spell is a bit expensive, but in the decks that want it, this card is going to be very good. In fact, you can just cycle away for 1. It's borderline main boardable.
Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah, next one is you got to jump through some hoops.
I love this one though. Garion?
It's Mutual Destruction for 1 black. You get a sorcery. It says this spell has flash as long as you control a permanent with flash. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you have to sacrifice a creature, and then, and only then, you can destroy a creature.
So, what is it? Bone Splinter?
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's just Bone Splinters.
But potentially instant speed. I love playing Bone Splinter. I will basically always play Bone Splinter. This is a potentially better version of Bone Splinter in a set that has a lot of flash matters. The thing is that with additional costs, you play the spell and then you pay additional costs. So you can, I believe, sacrifice a creature with flash as your additional cost if you so need to.
I mean, if you really got to get rid of that shit, it's always good to have removal.
1 mana removal spell, even if you do have to get rid of a thing. And as we've seen, there are plenty of things that give you like little human stuff. Bone Splinter is a card that you play in sets where there's like aristocrats, because you do sometimes just need a way to sacrifice a creature, and you do sometimes need a way to have removal. This has both. I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, definitely playing it.
Speaking of, making human soldier creature tokens, Night Squad Commando, 2 and a black. human soldier when it enters the battlefield. If you attack this turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. The humans deck does seem to be an aggro deck, so having that as a baseline is pretty good. It's also just a 2/3 for 3, which isn't too bad, and the fact that you can maybe have 3 power on the board for 3 mana is pretty big upside. Yeah, beat face.
Yeah, the next one we have is Serrated Scorpion. It's a 1/2 for a single black. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life.
Again,
damn it.
aristocrat strategy. If you're bringing it back, it's pretty solid. The fact that you do gain life off of it is even better. Cory, I know this
We've
isn't
got
the
each in there, which
this
is
isn't
good.
the red version, but there's a lot of these sorts of effects. Suffocating Fumes for 2 and a black. It's an instant. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 till end of turn, and cycling 2. These sort of like wide sweeping -X spells generally work out pretty strong. I don't know if in this particular set it's going to be as good as it is in other sets, just because I feel that there is a pretty big discrepancy between the X ones and the anything else in this set. There's not a lot of like 3/1s, 2/1s, whatever. I feel like a lot of things actually do have higher toughness, so this may be more of a defensive countermeasure rather than an offensive trying to kill things. But the fact that it's cycling,
It's definitely a good sideboard card, though.
yeah. Even in a main board, the fact that you do have cycling on it, you're like, oh no, this isn't going to work the way I want it. Boop, go away.
I think that's literally the best part about cycling, is it makes
Oh yeah,
sideboard cards more main board.
I think that's what cycling is intended to do.
All right, the next card we're going to talk about is Unbreakable Bond. 4 and a black for a sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. Now, this is my type of card.
This card is way too expensive. Yeah, exactly.
But fuck, dude, we're going back to the battlefield. We're not doing this regrowth shit, and we get a lifelink counter, which can potentially... It's a late game card, I think, but it's one of those ones that really can swing the game. It just seems like one of those ones that can get you back into a blocking position and potentially help you swing back from a lower life total.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah, 5 mana.
Lately, a lot of these return to the battlefield effects from the graveyard have been around 4 or 5 mana, because that's way more balanced than the 1 and 2 drops that we used to have.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second, sorry.
Yeah, anything that's worth 1 is too much.
Just this one card.
Animate Dead will never hit. They will never make a card like that.
There's a reason. Yep.
A lot, especially in Orzhov in this set, they're doing like CMC 3 or less or Power 3. It's like there's been a few cards in the last few sets that care about getting tinier things and cheating them onto the battlefield. But
yeah, and this doesn't care. It's just whatever.
Yeah, and this
you
can get big stuff, and that's why it comes.
Yeah, I think this actually plays more into the Golgari than it does into the Orzhov, just because it's more of a self-mill. Like, I would love to self-mill and then have this and bring back a giant thing for 5 mana rather than paying like 6, 7, 8 mana for it.
Yeah, and I think this also works with cycling stuff, because you can cycle it into the graveyard too and then bring it back later. Yeah,
true. Absolutely. So the next one I want to do is Unlikely Aid. I think that we've had this card before, and I underestimated it before. It's 1 black for an instant target. It's +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. These little combat tricks have fucked me up way too many times for me to underestimate it anymore. I'm going to start picking them up. I hate them. Why is black giving shit indestructible? Get the fuck out of here.
Well, I guess this next card actually goes back with that cheating it out of the graveyard. It's Void Beckoner, 6 black for an 8/8 with Death Touch, Nightmare Horror. It has cycling for 2 and a black, and when you cycle it, put a Death Touch counter on target creature you control.
So you're telling me that on turn 3 or 4, I can cycle this guy, give one of my guys Death Touch, fuck around for a little while. Then on turn 5 or 6, I can return it to the battlefield with Lifelink and Death Touch.
An 8/8 Lifelink Death Touch for 5 mana?
That's what I'm a fan of, yeah.
Yeah. The next one is Whispering Squad for just a single black mana. If any of you are familiar with Squadron Hawk, this will be a reason why they named it Squad. It is a human soldier for 1/1, and for 1 and a black, search your library for a card named Whisper Squad, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library.
I like this. I think this is a good turn 1 and a good turn 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And potentially turn 3. Like, if you have an Anthem effect or something like that, this becomes powerful.
Oh, yeah. They're humans, yeah. Solid.
All right, guys. This last black card we've got is the Mamba. Zagoth Mamba for 1 black. It's a 1/1 creature nightmare snake. Whenever this creature mutates, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Turn 1 mutate target? Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
We already talked about how good those are.
Yeah, I think that this is... Yeah, exactly. I think this might be like the actual best one to have on turn 1, but because it is uncommon and also puts you into black like immediately, I just think that the other one is actually the egg is going to be better for you, but it's also just very good. All right, Cory, I know that you're itching to talk about red. I want to read the first red card. Actually, I'm just joking on that one. But before we do have Garion, I believe you call it them beers.
Them beers.
That's it. Gary, why don't you start us off here with...
I have the solid gold, baby. This is Founder Solid Gold Premium Lager, sitting pretty at 4.4% alcohol by volume.
Weak shit.
Yeah, and 20 IBUs. And to be honest with you, it tastes like 10 IBUs. It's beer. You know what I mean? It's kind of reminiscent of a PBR to me. It's very clean and clear, does not linger. It doesn't really have a hop characteristic, though it does have like a little bit, barely, of bitter, but it's just really lightly malted, lightly sweet, golden beer.
I mean, it sounds great. Like, it sounds crisp and refreshing, exactly what I want on a summer day.
I will rate it
name's dope.
6 out of 10.
That's pretty good.
It's just basic as shit, you know?
Yeah, it's basic. That's the thing, is I think it's for the person who likes to crush 4-6 beers in a night or whatever.
But you want something that's a little bit more class.
Yeah, right. You don't want to come in with a Coors, just grab a few of these tall boys. You'll look cool, but you'll still be able to smash. However, if you're looking for complexity, you're not going to find it here. It's just beer.
Fair enough. I have the Templin Family Brewing's Ferda Imperial IPA. This is a double IPA, the DIPA, if you will. And oddly enough, a year ago, I probably would have tasted this and immediately handed it to Sean. But as it is, double IPAs are significantly more drinkable than a lot of just standard IPAs. They have a lot more of like the fruity, hazy characteristics than what just normal IPAs do. Normal IPAs just feel like they throw in way too much bitter hops into the boil, whereas double IPAs, they have more of like a balancing hop in the boil and then like some dry hop action, or maybe like 15-minute hops to just bring out more of the oil characteristics rather than just the acid. I wonder if double IPAs
have more stages of hops instead of just having a big load all at once, you know?
Yeah, double and triples, it's just the addition of hops at different times, I believe. And this one, I think that you would enjoy this one more than what the Modern Times was. Because the hops, while it does have that bitterness, it is more kind of floral, not so much fruity, but the bitterness isn't as harsh. And even though somebody, and I still love it, said 240 on the hop scale, I feel like it's more of like
over 9,000.
Yeah, right. I definitely feel like it's not the 40 that I gave it credit for at the beginning. It's definitely closer to like 60. But I feel like for an IPA, for double IPA especially, that's pretty reasonable. It's not crushable, but it's still crisp and refreshing, and it's honestly a really lovely summer beer.
Yeah, I actually really I think I like more double IPAs than I do regular IPAs, and I think
I found that's kind of where I'm at.
What you guys were talking about, just they're not as harsh, or they're different kind of bitterness to them. But my favorite IPA is Melvin's 2x4, which is a double IPA.
My favorite one right now, I think, is Melvin's Hazy Bloom or whatever, that Mind Bloom, because that one was incredible. Yeah, and Cory, I think that you have one that, I mean, at least two of the three of us would be pretty keen on. I like cranberries, though, so...
Yeah, so this one, I saw at the store, I was like, I've never heard of any of this. I don't know what this is, but it says Wild Sour in giant text. And so I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting that. But it's Distill Brew's Wild Sour Series Cranberry Crike. It's a sour ale brewed with cranberries and sweet cherries. I love it. It's super crisp and really, really acidic, which is exactly what I look for in a sour. And it's got that astringency, that bile vinegariness that I love. But it also has the fruitiness, the cranberries and the cherries. Usually cranberries can be have a lot of bitter notes, but this one, I think the sourness just counteracts all of it. It's got kind of the sort of a holiday spicy kind of thing going on. It's got some allspice and some cinnamon. So it's just a really solid sour. I really like it. I had to restrain myself not to drink the whole thing immediately.
Well, I mean, good on you. Normally that's a thing because, we want to have Garion and I be able to have a secondary taste there. But with this social distancing shit, you can,
I should
drink away.
Man.
Beer of the show, I think honestly is probably the Distill, right?
I mean, I don't know if we can really do beer of the show. Like, I love it.
I think we can because
this is a
I
hard
don't think
one.
you would like it. Drew, you'd hate it.
Right, but to be
Gary
fair,
would
I
like
think that, to me, I'm never going to pick some basic-ass lager from,
True.
A fine, a whatever company. I don't care who you are. Tempo Family's Ferda, Garion, you're not going to like. Cory, you're probably going to be pretty okay with. But I think that all of us can agree that the Wild Sour is going to be the most interesting, the most complex, and the most flavorful.
Well, when you put it that way, hell yeah, I chose better than you guys.
Okay, settle down.
So
I'm pretty sure I got one of those chilling in my closet.
Whenever we get back together, I'll have to buy you one of these so you guys can try.
Fair enough. All right, so the first one we have in red is Blazing Volley. It's just one red, and Cory, this is the one you were talking about. Blazing Volley deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. Imagine having a board wipe for 1, and imagine having your creatures get buffed for it.
This is so good against the human deck.
Yeah, it's insane. This one is a sideboard card, but it is a one-sided board wipe, potentially, which is super good. The humans deck still actually like to run this one just because 1 extra damage is pretty awesome for X2s, because when you are attacking them with a bunch of 1/1 tokens, you don't really care about them as much, and to make them have to make the decision of blocking is super important in that deck. And so usually they can just oh yeah, I'm just going to block all day because your creatures are tiny. But if it's I might actually have to trade my creature for your shitty little creature, and you're only spending 1 mana to do it, it's pretty dope. The next one I keep on reading as a goblin, and it's not.
It should be.
Gremlin.
It's dope though,
Fuck
because
gremlins.
non-creature spells I'm all about.
It's a little mini Chandra.
It's a single red for a 1/1. It's Blister Spit Gremlin. So it's a gremlin. You
What
can
a name.
tap colorless and tap it, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then whatever you cast a non-creature spell, untap it.
I love effects like this. I think that these effects are usually underrated, but that extra 1 mana that you have to pay is really going to slow you down.
Yeah, that's my only bad, what I think is the hindering this card, because a lot of these effects, you just tap them.
Yeah, for sure.
So
the next card is a card that I think it is just going to be insane, but we'll find out. So this is Blitz of the Thunder Raptor. So for 1 in a red, it's an instant. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. I love effects like this. I think that I probably am going to slot this into some of my commander decks because of the way that they operate, and I think that I'm probably just going to kill/exile a bunch of shit.
Yeah, this late game, this is just a powerhouse.
Yeah, the next card, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's this cool cycle. I think it's in Woolburg, and it's the dinosaur and friend story.
Yeah, because I think, so this one's Cathartic Reunion. It's 1 in a red. Sorceries. It just costs cast a spell, discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards. Solid, red. Love it.
Discard, drawing, non-creature. This is all of the things that Izzet wants to do right now.
I know the blue card
is Capture Sphere.
Capture Sphere, yeah, because this dinosaur is captured and this guy frees him, and now it's their Cathartic Reunion because they're back together. It's sweet.
Aww,
yeah, it's
and then there's another card where.
Yeah, I think it's actually in Woolburg. I think there's one of each.
Oh hell yeah!
Garion, what do you got on this next one?
This next one is a very, very red card. We've got 3 red for a Clash of Titans. It's an instant. Target creature fights another target creature.
I think
no
this is
ownership
so sick
needed
because it's not your own creature. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's I'm gonna have your best thing fight your other best thing.
And they're both gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 mana is a lot, but it's instant speed, and like Cory and I were saying, it's not your creature versus their creature like most green fight spells are.
Then we've got Cloud Piercer. which is 4 and a red for a 5/4 creature dinosaur with mutate for 3 and a red. It has reach, and whenever this creature mutates, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card.
Every part of this creature is green, except for the last little part of it. The mutate.
Yeah, a rummaging green creature.
The next one. This is the other banger of the cycle deck. It's Drannit Stinger for 1 and a red. It is a human wizard for 2/2 creature that has, whenever you cycle another card, Drannit Stinger deals 1 damage to each opponent in cycling for 1. Discard. This card is going to absolutely win games. Undoubtedly. I don't care what format you're playing in. If you like yourself some of the old cycling, this card you're going to love.
Oh yeah, it just puts people on the clock. And I think something really cool you can do is if you put a lifelink counter on it, you can just sort of outvalue
this card's
your opponent.
Insane. I never thought of that.
The name of this next card, fucking dumb.
Yeah.
It's Ferocious Tigerilla. 3 and a red for a 4/3. It enters the battlefield with your choice of a trample counter or a menace counter on it. So, I mean, it's just a really good creature. I think the name is just dumb.
Yeah, it is indeed.
I think this next one is a really cool burn spell. It's Fire Prophecy. It's 1 and red for an instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature. You may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library. If you do, draw a card. So it kind of cantrips you. And then this next one is another interesting burn spell. It's Flame Spell. It's 2 and a red for an instant. It deals 4 damage to target creature. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead.
So it's an instant with trample.
Yeah. So again, this is one of those ones that I'm saying that Ikoria was tested in Unstable. There's literally a burn spell with trample, and this is just the actualization of that. I'm a fan.
So dope.
Yeah, I love that they took an unset mechanic idea and they turned it into a real thing.
Yeah, it's like those other burn spells where it does so much damage to a creature and then it does damage to that creature's controller as well.
So you guys were all huppity-puppity about this next one. It's Footfall Crater for 1 red. You get an enchantment aura that says Enchant Land. Enchanted Land has tap, target creature gains trample and haste until end of turn. It also cycles for 1 generic.
Oh, yeah. So I love this card. It's just giving something, tapping a mana and giving something haste. So good.
Yeah, imagine every turn, spend 1 mana, give whatever creature you just cast haste. Next one is Forbidden Friendship. So this, I think, is the first one of the cycle. I think it's actually only 3 cards. I was just looking it up, and it's Forbidden Friendship, Capture Sphere, and Cathartic Reunion. It's just sorcery for 1 and a red. Create a 1/1 red dinosaur creature token with haste and a 1/1 white soldier creature token. So 2 mana, you get a blocker and an attacker. I guess that's fine.
I'm getting teary-eyed.
We got Frenzy Rapid, which is just a cool reprint from Ixalan. Not actually a very good card. And Frill Scale Mentor. So this is the red version of the uncommon creature. When it enters the battlefield, creates a counter for something else. This time it's the menace counter. And whenever you tap it for 2 and a red, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with menace. So you get the menace counter on something else, you buff it up. This one is actually pretty strong. Like I said, menace is pretty difficult to evaluate. When to block, when to not block. How much do you actually invest in killing their creature? If they've got something like this, like onboard tricks, it makes it even that much more difficult to figure out. Speaking of which, go for blood. Cory, I feel like this is a card that you be slavering.
That's literally Cory in the artwork with this tiger bat thing.
So it's 1 and a red for a sorcery. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, and also cycling for 1. It's just really good red removal.
Again, how is this not in green?
Yeah.
This is such a green card. What the fuck?
They gotta throw some love because I guess there's only a couple burn spells.
Yeah, there's only a couple.
This next one I'm actually pretty stoked about when it comes to red cards.
Yeah, so we've seen something very, very similar to this a few times, but the fact that it leaves behind a permanent effect is just that much better. So this is Heightened Reflexes. For just a single red, instant, target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Put a first strike counter on it.
That's good.
The fact that the counter stays. You generally see something like this, and it's +2/+0 in first strike, and this is just hey, your shit is going to survive because it's got first strike, and now it's also just going to hold on to first strike.
Yep.
This card, I'm honestly surprised that this isn't an uncommon.
It
Like, I
should
could
be.
see this as an uncommon and wouldn't even blink an eye.
No.
Momentum Rumbler is the next one.
Momentum
Get it.
Rumbler is 3 in a red for a 3/3. Whenever it attacks, if it doesn't have first strike, put a first strike counter on it. And then it also has another ability. Whenever it attacks, if it has first strike, it gains double strike until end of turn.
Well, shit.
Corey, is this not like one of your favorite cards of the set? Like, come on.
Yeah, this card's so cool. Like, you basically
Look,
it's kind of like
never-
level up.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way to think about it. But the way I read it is that it never doesn't have first strike on.
Yeah, it's always solid.
Like, if it doesn't have first strike, you're not blocking with it, and you're absolutely fucking attacking with it. And then every single time you attack with it, like, it gets the first strike counter, and so the first combat, it just has first strike. Like, it can't see both the first time it attacks as getting the first strike counter, and also since it already has the first strike counter, it would get the double strike. So first time it attacks, yes, it just has first strike. But a 3/3 first striker for 4 mana is pretty solid. 3/3 double striker for 4 mana is absolutely backbreaking. All right,
So this next dude, I'm not a huge red guy, so I'm going to need you guys to teach me whether this card is cool or not. It's Porcuparrot, which is a fucking stupid name.
Oh, I thought
Three
you
in
liked
a
this one. You and your brother love portmanteaus. I thought you'd love this one.
I just don't like porcupine and parrot, but yeah, we do like portmanteaus a lot, but mostly because it's dumb, and that's the point. It's a 3/4 creature bird beast with mutate for 2 and a red, but if you tap it, this creature deals X damage to any target where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. Now, we can assume that at least a couple times you're going to be dealing only 1 or 2 damage. Is it worth it to have a 3/4 that you can only ping for 1 or 2? Or do you guys like this guy?
If it has vigilance, I love this guy.
Yeah, I think
That's true.
on the
I think-
face, it's not that good, but I
Yeah.
think the potential can be really good. I think this,
It's the fact that it's any target, right? It can hit planeswalkers, and I think that that's pretty valuable in and of itself, especially with War of the Spark still going to be in the same standard cycle as what this one is. I think that this card has a lot of potential, but you do need to invest in mutate, where red is not one of the like strong mutate colors, in my opinion. So it's kind of a weird offshoot where realistically it is just going to kind of be a 1 or 2 damage, but 1 or 2 damage adds up pretty damn quickly.
And I mean,
a
it
game
is
of Magic.
sort of a defensive card. It does have 4 toughness, so you can leave it up as a blocker and then
yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite card to pair this with that's not vigilance is the jellyfish that you can untap.
Absolutely untap it. Yeah.
that'd be dope.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thinking was, is that if there is a red-blue mutate deck, then I would love to see Porcuparrot with the jellyfish, with some of the draw mutate stuff. And I think that is where it could have a lot of potential. But realistically, I think that on its own, it's difficult to evaluate. Like, it's legitimately one of the most difficult to evaluate mutate cards, because you see some of them,
Because
it's
we
like,
usually
this
like
is trash.
pingers. Like the Trebuchet was always great, but it was less.
Right, but
Mana.
the Trebuchet, I think, was also a common, right? That you could
Right.
get multiples of, and like 3 Trebuchets are great because they block, they have reach, they have 1 power with like 3 toughness, which definitely was underrated. And then also they just fucking ping for days. And if you can get this at like 3 on the mutate, how, like, you have to invest 3 creatures to get this into 3 mutate. That's a pretty fair bit. Like, why would you not just be attacking at that time? Yeah, I think that taking a step back to evaluate this one is definitely a good call. Gary,
Just didn't know it.
your card evaluation's gone up. You like leveled up.
I'm leveling up. Starting to look at red with a tinge of curiosity.
But no, I think like if you could make a mono red mutate deck, I think Porcuparrot could be a fun card, but I just don't know if that's there. Prickly Marmoset is the next one. I think that the fact that this card has first strike really just kind of makes it go from, oh, all right, not too bad, to, oh, okay, pretty good. So it's 2 and a red for a 2/3 with first strike. That's fine stats. Those stats are great. Whenever you cycle a card, Prickly Marmoset gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Cycling is instant speed, as I'll remind people. This card is really good defensively. It's really good offensively. The fact that anytime you cycle a card, you can do that at instant speed, so cycling effectively becomes a combat trick for you with this guy. There's a lot of cycle for 1 in this set, which I think is kind of just overpowered as fuck.
Yeah, because you can do that multiple times a turn if you have the
Oh, yeah,
cards and the
easy.
mana.
Like, how many times have we seen in past sets spend 2 mana to give a creature like +2/+0 and first strike. And now you can do that twice, essentially.
While drawing a card.
Exactly. While replacing those cards immediately. Yeah. All right. How about another portmanteau, Garion?
So we've got a Pyroceratops, which is 3 in a red for a 2/3 creature elemental dinosaur with trample. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Pyroceratops. We got a nice little spell slinger target.
I think it's good in the Spellslinger deck. Like, honestly, Spellslinger decks lack creatures to hold down the board with. And this one has trample on it to help you finish the game. And that's another thing that Spellslinger decks lack, is ways to finish the game. There's a lot of ways to stay in the game, to kill enemy creatures, stop spells, whatever. Like, counter burn is great, but sometimes the burn in limited is directed at creatures and planeswalkers, not at players. The next one, I mean, we were talking about how red has some instants for 1 in a red. So, Raking Claws, 1 in a red for an instant target creature gains double strike until end of turn and cycling 2.
This can win you the game out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And if it's early game, just pitch it. Or if you don't need it, cycling helps every time.
Yeah. I think that's probably going to be like the most repeated thing we say on this episode. Is just cycling makes every card better. The next one, I fucking love this card. I fucking love this card. So, it's Reptilian Reflection, 2 in a red enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you may have Reptilian Reflection become a 5/4 dinosaur creature with trample and haste, in addition to its other types until end of turn. So it stays an enchantment the entire time. I'm a fan of that. I mean, yeah, it does double the weakness on it, but also, you play this on turn 4, you cycle something for 1. Turn 4, you have a 5/4 dinosaur with trample and haste coming in. Exactly.
And I love that you can also do it on other people's turns. So it's like,
Yeah,
I
like, if
don't
you
have
need
a blocker. Oh, I got a 5/4 out of nowhere.
Like, it makes combat difficult for your opponents. It's just like, oh shit, he's got one, like literally only 1 mana up. He can still do it. Doesn't matter what color you have.
Do I swing at this guy or no?
Yeah. And so, like, man, the design on this card is absolutely perfect. Like, I think the power and toughness on it scales pretty well with where it's at. Like, mana cost, because you're playing on turn 3, you're likely not going to be able to do it, a zero mana cycler. That's fine. Turn 4 all of a sudden becomes a real threat, but it only has 4 toughness, so there's a lot of wiggle room there for what your opponents can do. I think it's a really well designed card.
So next one we got is Rooting Moloch, 4 and a red for a 4/4 lizard. Moloch. When it enters the battlefield, exile target card with a cycling ability from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. And then also has cycling too.
So the downside of cycling is you're throwing cards away that you might be able to use later. And this guy says you can do that.
Yeah, and it comes down usually around turn 5, so you already have stuff in your graveyard. You get that stuff back. It's great.
And it's until your next turn. So that's great. That's great. I love it.
Very good. Up next, we've got Rumbling Rockslide, 3 and a red for a sorcery. Rumbling Rockslide deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control.
Normally, I hate
sounds
effects
pretty
like
cool.
this. But
This is a weird one.
yeah, like normally I hate effects like this, but the fact that it is 4 mana means that you're always going to be doing 4 damage. 4 damage for 4 mana is fair. But there's been a fair amount of like subtle lands matter throughout the past few sets. And I think that if there is a land stick, now is the time to be playing it, and it is going to be involving red. So I think that it might be relevant in a lands matter
I
deck.
just wish it didn't say target creature.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Imagine this as a board wipe.
Ugh.
It'd be sick though, right?
No, because in EDH, it'd just be fucking broken.
Exactly.
It'd be ludicrous.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I don't know. Next one, we've got one of our keyword counter cyclers. So it's Sanctuary Smasher, 4 red, first strike, cycling 2 in a red. When you cycle it, you can put a first strike counter on target creature you control. Pretty dope. And it's a 6/4 on its own. If you can bring this one back with something like Rooting Moloch, not too bad, not too shabby.
Down.
So now we've got some primo sideboard material. We got Shredded Sails, 1 and a red for an instant. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact, or it deals 4 damage to target creature with flying. But it also has cycling too.
Would you play this in a mono red EDH deck?
Mono red EDH? No.
You don't think so?
No. If it did 4 damage to anything, yes.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Because of with flying, huh?
Yeah.
You're just never going to hit.
That's fair.
All right, up next we've got Spell Eater Wolverine, 2 and a red for a 3/2 creature Wolverine.
Okay, they have Wolverine, but they don't have a fucking dolphin subtype?
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
They had to give that shit a whale. Spell Eater Wolverine has double strike as long as there are 3 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, which there always are. I mean, come on. I like it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Double strike sucks, dude.
The downside on this one is that this thing gets shocked.
Yeah,
that's true.
But
a 3/2
double strike is pretty fucking good for 3 mana. The next one is one that I'm gonna play way more than I should.
Like this card.
It's Tentative Connection. So for 3 and a red sorcery, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. So I love threat effects, but this one also has this little bonus, this cherry on top, if you would. The spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with menace. So for 1 mana,
oh no,
you can threaten something.
That fucking mutate creature I spent 9 turns on. No.
Oh god, I hadn't even thought of it in concept. Like all I was thinking about is my Marchesa deck, which has a couple of menace creatures on its own. It's just like, would I spend 4 mana for a threaten effect? No. Would I spend 1 mana? Every goddamn time.
Seriously.
I love it. I think we just jump into green, shall we?
Yeah, so this first green card is Adventurous Impulse. It's just a single green for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is just your standard green. Just get some creatures or some lands.
Card advantage, dude.
Yeah. I've lost this kind of shit every time at a pre-release, so
yeah,
it's always good.
The next one is, in my opinion, tied for number 2. Yeah, as the second best creature that you can have as your mutate. Tied for number 2 because of the black 1-drop, obviously. So it's 1 green for creature, Brushwag. Again, a fucking Brushwag gets a fucking creature type, but a dolphin doesn't.
Brushwag Tribal.
So Almighty Brushwag has trample, and for 3 and a green, Almighty Brushwag gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So it's a 1/1 on its own, but the fact that it's a mana sink late game, this card, especially as a mutate, it's going to give the thing trample. It's going to have that activated ability. This card is going to win games. Period. Whether it's mutate or not, this card is going to win games.
Yeah, I love it. Especially if you can load it up with other counters and stuff.
This next one, I think, is what makes mutate more viable in EDH.
Yeah, we've got Auspicious Starix. 4 and a green for a 6/6 creature elk beast with a mutate cost of 5 and a green. So notably more mana this time, not less. Whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanent cards, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated. Put those permanent cards onto the battlefield. Damn, son.
So cheating of mana cost
fucking around
is one of the most powerful things you can do in Magic. But they specifically did not add non-land permanents to this card for a reason. Cory, I refuse to read this card, so this next
So this one, I think, is going to see a lot of play, especially in Standard. It's Barrier Breach. It's 2 and a green for an instant. Exile up to 3 target enchantments, and it has cycling 2. So this gets rid of the gods, gets rid of anything you might be bothering you today. I think this is just solid.
This is one of the best cards in the set.
They didn't include any downside on it because it's up to 3, so you don't have to hit exactly 3 for it to fizzle.
That's
instant
the part
speed,
that
exile. What the fuck, man?
Instant speed, exile, 3 mana, target enchantment would already be fine.
Usually you have
with
to pay
the cycling cost.
2 mana for 1 thing. This is 3 mana for 3 things.
And that's a destroy effect.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, it's an uncommon, but this thing is fucking ridiculous. This
card, I'm telling you, if you get this in your packs, snatch it up.
Yeah, this card, it honestly frustrates me because of the power creep, because enchantments used to be a pretty safe thing to play. There was always a cost to enchantments, right? Which a lot of them are kind of do nothing unless you have other things going on. And enchantment removal has become pretty fucking good over the years to the point where we have this now. And so I
think it did specifically because of gods.
Oh, yeah, it's literally because of Theros and the gods. But I don't know. As someone who does play way too much enchantments. But it's
again,
just like
this thing, I still think it would be not broken, but just really good without cycling. You have to be all
absolutely.
in. You may run into an area where nobody has enchantments. Well, guess what? It's got cycling, so you could just fucking pitch it. Who cares?
Yeah. Bristling Boar is a pretty cool reprint. 3 and a green for Boar. Can be blocked by more than one creature. How about one of our Apex Predator bonus cards?
Charge of the Forever Beast. 2 and a green for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, reveal a creature card from your hand. Charge of the Forever Beast deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the revealed card's power.
I choose Void Lenore. No, the 1/4.
I choose
1/4 with Digest.
Gigantosaurus.
Oh, fuck. 10/10.
Right.
My ass.
I think this is really cool, flavorful, on point green removal.
Yeah, all the things you said. Agreed.
Because it cares about big creatures. And that's all green does.
Cory, you seem to be a pretty keen on mutate a little bit. How would you like it if whenever you mutated, that creature got +1/+1 counters and you gained life?
I'm down, especially if it's onto the egg, which already gets counters.
Ooh, what if that effect came in on just a 2/2 creature for 2 mana?
Oh, shit. They should make that card.
Oh, they did. It's called Essence Symbiote.
Notably, though, this one doesn't say whenever this creature mutates. It's whenever any creature you control mutates. So that's really helping out.
Yeah. I mean, you can throw it on this guy, and this guy just gets bigger and bigger and whatever.
Yeah.
The next one is... It's part of the Golgari cycle of just self-mill. So it's Excavation Mole. It is a creature, mole, for 3/3, and it has trample, and whenever it enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Again, a lot of flavor going into the mole, right? A little bigger, throwing shit in your bin. It's also just a very good card. I think that as a common...
3 mills 3, solid.
Yeah, like, so many people are going to look at this and be like, oh, no, it mills me 3. Just like, hell yeah, it's milling me 3.
All right, next we've got Exuberant Wolf Bear for 3 and a green. It's a 4/4 creature wolf bear. Whenever Exuberant Wolf Bear attacks, you may change the base power and toughness of target human you control to Exuberant Wolf Bear's power and toughness until end of turn.
So, again...
I don't know, man. How many big humans do we have?
It doesn't matter. Who cares? You want the human to be small so that you can give Wolf Bear's power and toughness to it. Let's pump up Wolf Bear, give my human that power and toughness. Let's go fucking smash face. Wolf Bear Tribal. Sorry, Wolf Bear Human Tribal. So this is part of the obs on humans. Humans is generally going to be more focused on Mardu, but obviously there's going to be support in other colors. And this is green's like, hey, you can also use green in the human tribal deck. The next card. Cory, I feel
awesome. Love this card.
This is
a
You've played this card more than I have, which is saying a lot, because I played a lot of Fertilid.
Yeah, so Fertilid is 2 and a green for a 0/0 elemental. It enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and you can pay 1 and a green and remove a +1/+1 counter from it, and then target player searches their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffles their library.
So there are 2 decks that I've played a lot of Fertilid in. There's my lands deck from Modern, and there's my Miracle Grow deck from Modern. And both of them love Fertilid. Like, you just can't go wrong. Anytime you play Fertilid, you can't go wrong.
Oh, yeah. It's slower ramp, but it's at instant speed eventually.
Yeah.
So, and it's
so aptly named.
Yeah, it's so good. Love it.
All right.
Gary, why don't you hit the next 2?
Okay. First one we've got is Flycatcher Giraffid, which is 4 and
Giraffid, come on.
Giraffid. I guess he does look like a bit of a giraffe, doesn't he? It's a giraffe lizard. Except we've gotten... What the fuck, man? I didn't read through this card. So it's 4 and a green for a 3/5 creature antelope lizard. Again, with the shafting. Flycatcher Giraffid enters the battlefield with your choice of a vigilance counter or a reach counter.
Makes sense as a giraffe slash lizard.
Slash antelope.
All right, then the next one we got is fully grown, 2 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Put a trample counter on it. I like that because, again, we're upgrading what we've already had with a counter that stays.
Yeah. I think in previous sets, +3/+3 and trample end of turn, you've been happy with. And now that fucking counter just stays.
Speaking of super
We
good.
got a spider.
We've
Some
got
good +1/+1 counter stuff.
Glowstone Recluse. It's 2 and a green for a 2/3. Spider. It's got Mutate for 3 and a green, but it has Reach. And then whenever this creature mutates, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it.
Damn.
That's a lot of counters.
Yeah, that can get out of control real fast.
That takes 2 turns and you kill someone. The next one is Greater Sandworm. This is a repeat from Almond Cat. We've got 5 green for a worm creature. It's a 7/7. And it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. It also has cycling for 2. So in Almond Cat, you generally wanted something that has pretty high power as a finisher. In Mutate decks, this one might actually be viable. Cycling decks, this one is definitely viable. In general green decks, this one is absolutely viable. So
in regrowth decks, or
Reanimate.
I guess not regrowth, reanimate decks, this is
this one. It's weird because in Omkit it didn't quite feel as good as what I think it's going to feel in this set. I think this card is actually just going to be some fucking value town all over the place.
Yeah, Amonkhet had a couple Cycling Matters cards, but I think this set has way better ones.
Yes, yeah, it has more and better. Cycling in Omkit was okay. Drake Haven being, I think, one of the best cards that came out of it. So and obviously what's it called? What's the colorless? Chosen One, Fallen One, Hollow One. And obviously Hollow One, there's literally a deck built around it because it's a broken card. Let's be honest. But I think that this set is going to, it's going to make the Hollow One deck better, I'll tell you that much. So the next one is Hornbash Mentor. This is the green version of it enters the battlefield. You put the trample counter on it this time instead of first strike or one of the other counters. And for 2 and a green, tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control trample. This card is very, very dangerous. The menace counter was dope. Having the first strike counter would be dope. But trample counter, like you don't care about anything else after you play this card. Every single turn, you're just dumping mana into this.
Yeah, this just helps you win. It's just because usually creatures with trample are already big, and so this makes them even bigger. Like one more,
and you just get a bonus one, right? You just throw a non-human creature. You're like, hey, guess what? You're trample boy now.
Get in there, and you do it instant speed. Like
up next, we've got Humble Naturalist. It's 1 and a green for 1/3 creature human druid. Tap and add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell.
This card is the opposite of Power Creep. Like there's so many cards that just get better and better over time, but this is a 2 mana 1/3. that only adds mana for creature spells. Yes, this is a creature-intensive set, but goddamn, this card is just... You're going to play it, and you're probably going to be pretty happy when you use its ability, but, like, can I have Llanowar Elves back?
no.
I mean, it's a mana of any color, so it does fix you in the 3 and 4 color decks, but...
I guess. I don't know, man. I ain't big on
be
it.
Desperate to be throwing this guy in there.
How about next up, we just talk about Lead the Stampede.
So Lead the Stampede is 2 and a green for sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of creature cards from among them. Put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So potentially in Magic Christmas Land, pay 3, draw 5.
That's insane. In green?
In green.
Yeah. This card, I think, is going to see play in several formats. The next one we have is Migration Path. We talked about this one on the last episode. So 3 and a green for a better version of Explosive Vegetation. So it's a sorcery. Search your library up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, and shuffle your library. And it also has cycling for 2. So Explosive Vegetation is the exact same card minus the cycling. So why not just throw in cycling to make it better? You like ramp?
That's
well,
kind of my
sometimes you like to
mentality,
draw cards.
Yeah, sometimes drawing a ramp card doesn't help.
Well, what about ramp on Mutate? Garion, how do you like this next card?
Looks wild if you look at the artwork. Migratory Greathorn for 3 and a green. It's a 3/4 creature beast with a mutate cost of 2 and a green. Whenever this creature mutates, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library.
All right, so how about we read this card, reread it, right, as pay 3 mana, target creature you control becomes a 3/4, and search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, and shuffle your library.
Yeah, again, I think it's
like,
good.
that's dumb. That card, like, just the way I read that would be dumb as fuck. And now it's better than that.
I was going to say, I think, especially in the Mutate deck, it's just, again, another one of those good targets to have in that stack of things.
Yeah,
like,
You're always
eventually without interaction, you're just going to be triggering your gain a life, draw a card, find a land or whatever,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say no to that.
Yeah, I think this is the core of the EDH version of Mutate, but it's definitely not like a bad thing to have in any deck. Like turn a creature into a 3/4 and also go put a land onto your battlefield.
So the next one is Monstrous Step. 4 and a green for sorcery. Target creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. Up to one other target creature blocks it this turn if able. And then has cycling too.
I like cycling.
Yeah, and this is kind of a removal spell because you just make their most valuable creature block your dude.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to have trample and then just get
remove creature / kill somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of feels bad paying 5 mana.
Yeah, that's kind of the big downside on this one, but the fact that it also just has cycling for 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I feel like cards like this is where you see where they've upped the mana cost on something like this, and then just throwing cycling on is kind of like sometimes you don't want it.
Yeah.
Ram through 1 green for an instant. Target creature you control does damage to its power to target creature you don't control. That creature you control has trample. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. So this is a one-sided fight.
And it has the instant has trample.
Yeah, basically.
Another one of those weird things.
Yeah, so this is, I think that WotC calls them bite cards instead of fight cards. Just where your creature deals damage. This card is insanely strong. I think this is a card that's going to be underrated. Fight cards are usually about 2 mana. Bite cards are usually 3 or 4. So the fact that this is now an instant at 2 mana for basically just a free removal spell that can also deal damage.
Yeah.
You should pick this up anytime you're in green. This is your like premium green removal spell. And it's at common, which is even better.
Yeah, you could potentially block something or swing in, and then before damage, use your creature that's probably going to die and kill another thing and get 2 for 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess 2 for 2. Love it.
Don't care about the next one, but the one after that. It's just, look me some modals.
So we've got Survivor's Bond, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Choose one or both. Return target human creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or return target non-human creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Hey, I heard you like regrowths. How about I took your regrowth and made it a better regrowth?
Next one we've got is Thwart. Thwart the enemy. 2 and a green for an instant. Prevent all damage that we dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. So usually with fogs, there's just a blanket effect where it just gets rid of all the damage. But this is a
I like how you threw quotes up as if our audience would be able to see that.
It was for you guys. So I think this is one of the better fogs.
It's
which
not
is why it's 3 mana.
the Spider Fog, and it's not Spore Frog, but I think this is actually probably the 3rd best fog right now. Or tied to the 3rd, which is saying a lot, actually.
Yeah, this is similar to just giving your creatures indestructible. So,
Garion, you and I had a brief discussion about self-mill and how you're a big fan. I believe that was the words that you used. How would you like to mill the next card?
Oh, bro, I'd be so stoked. We've got Titanolith Rex. 7 green for an 11/11 creature dinosaur beast with trample. This is 11/11 with trample. Fuck. When you cycle
9 mana.
For 9 mana. Cycling for 1 and a green. When you cycle it, put a trample counter on target creature you control. So this is another one of those real big top-end green cards that maybe you're excited to see late in the game. Most of the time, you just want to cycle it away or dump it in the graveyard. Pop it back out later.
Yeah, so Golgari is looking at this card, and it's salivating right now.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, and this also goes really well with the removal spell where you show a creature. I'm going to deal 11 damage.
Yeah. Hey, whatever you have, it's dead. No, I promise you.
And then I'm just going to cycle it.
Yeah.
This last one, until we saw our other enchantment removal, I was really, really high on this, and now I'm just really high on this.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you take out one of these, at least you're still all right on it. Yeah. Wilt is 1 in the green. For an instant, this card is bullshit, has cycling for 2. Sorry, let me reread that, the translation error on that one. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, has cycling for 2. So we talked about in the previous episode, this card is good.
Yeah, I'll always. That's an easy upgrade in a lot of decks.
Yeah, most
there's
decks,
no
it's like you have Naturalize, Disenchant, anything like that. Just put this one in. Hey, sometimes you don't need that. Go ahead, draw a card. All right, so that's Wooburg. There's, turns out, a lot more to cover, and that was only Wooburg in commons and uncommons. We're going to try and go through and rapid fire on the next episode through the gold cards, through the artifacts, and we'll jump into rares and mythics. So we do, apologize, I guess, in advance for the next episode going to be a long one. This one's already been a long one, but I think that it makes sense for us to spend the time to do this. During now of all times, the environment kind of leads to longer episodes and more distractions because, goddamn, the COVID stir crazy is the onset has begun.
Oh yeah, I've been listening to podcasts I would never listen to and just watching shows I'd never listen or watch. Like,
dude, oh my god,
I
no
got too
joke.
much free time.
I started watching anime again. I'm just like, there's so many bad animes. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're in some rough months.
Yep, we got to all band together and so share your beers as long as you're not infected.
Well, be responsible with your beers.
Don't share your beers with your kids. Share your beers with your friends.
That's not what I meant. If you've got taster glasses or just an extra pint, pour one out for the homie. And I don't mean that because they died. I mean, pour half your beer out and, share amongst your friends. Be responsible out there, whether you're drinking along with us or you're just enjoying something on your own. We want you to be responsible. Don't drive around. Don't drink underage. As always, we want to make sure that you guys are safe and responsible. Thank you for listening as we just go on random tangents throughout this episode. It's difficult to stay on topic, especially after, 8% beer after not eating today. We'll get through this together, guys.
It's a hard life.
All right, guys, so we are going to hit up them gold bordered cards and the rares and mythics in the next episode. But for now, like we like to say on this podcast,
have fun.
Stay tuned for part 2.